Hello and welcome to Dateline Lagos on Channels Television. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun. Coming up on the program, Lagos holds 4th Community Sensitization Program, Lagos Recyclers Association, LAGRA, holds 1st Annual Conference, and an update on the Lekki Expressway project. Let's get started with Empowerment Program. The Lagos State Government has empowered 500 residents with various empowerment tools that will help provide daily income for them. This comes as the state holds its 4th Community Sensitization and Empowerment Program at the Lagos House, Alausa, Ikeja. Take a look.
The Lagos House, Alausa, is the venue for the 2022 Community Sensitization and Empowerment Program. Community leaders, students and other stakeholders have been selected as beneficiaries for this year's event. It's an initiative of the Office of the First Lady, Dr. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, and the aim is to effectively engage community stakeholders across the state to further enhance execution of people-friendly projects. This 4th edition creates awareness on drug abuse, communicable diseases, sexual and gender-based violence, the upcoming 2023 general election, among other issues. The Secretary to the State Government, Folashade Jaji, says 500 of them will benefit from this year's empowerment program, which will help them earn a daily income.
The issue that the First Lady has decided to address under the program is germane to building the Lagos of our collective desires. Are some of the very important issues that government has developed projects, initiatives, and strategies to address. I'm aware that in her campaign against the violation of women and children's rights in Lagos State and Nigeria at large, the First Lady has partnered with numerous groups and non-governmental organizations to ensure that all the nooks and crannies of the state are reached. This has further underscored her unwavering commitment to continue to work in the great vision of this administration to bring remarkable improvements to the lives of women, girls, and children in vital areas of health, empowerment, education, and rights protection. Our administration has a zero tolerance against all forms of violence. In this regard, the government has been involved in a number of initiatives, including those organized by relevant NGOs. It is most gratifying that this initiative has the objective to empower women and female youths, 500 of whom will be beneficiaries of various tools and equipment to start their own businesses and live their lives with dignity. To the beneficiaries, I say congratulations and urge you to make judicious use of these resources. Let them spur you on to become economically and financially independent and become worthy ambassadors of your family, community, and this great state.
Meanwhile, Mrs. Sanwo-Olu takes the lead in educating Lagosians on several issues, particularly drug abuse.
It's been established that there is a nexus between drug abuse and sexual abuse. And there's a lot of drug abuse going on in Lagos State. And that's why we're bringing it to the front burner now. I think yesterday in the social media I was reading that they went to Ikorodu to destroy a lot of drug substance that were being kept somewhere. You can see that the watchdog is on in Lagos State as well as the 36 states in Nigeria. And so we also want to bring this down to the schools so that the children are aware of what is happening out there, because our children are being deceived. Sometimes some of the so-called sweets are coated with some of these drugs. We also noticed that we cannot only focus on the children in the formal sector. We have quite a number of children out of school, the informal sector. And so when we start with this WADA program, War Against Drug Abuse, we will have to devise some strategies to visit the children out of school. Those are the vulnerable and the downtrodden that are exposed to these vices.
A representative of the NDLEA appeals to parents to get professional help for their wards addicted to drugs.
If there's a drug-dependent child in your home, we should all rally around. If the parents can afford it, you bring the child for treatment. Is there any package for NDLEA for the youths? We have packages, we have programs for youths, even in schools, the secondary, primary, in the communities. We have packages. Is it possible for NDLEA to eradicate this menace? It is not possible. I'm not God. If God decides to do that, but we may not be able to eradicate drug use. Just like we cannot eradicate crime from the society, but we can drastically reduce it if all hands are on deck. If from the family level, the parents do what they ought to do, from the family is the school, the class teacher is the next to God. Whatever the class teacher says is final. So the school teacher, the school counselor, we all put our hands on deck. The government, the first lady, all of us, we must join our hands together. Law enforcement, both NDLEA and every other law enforcement, sister agencies, we must all put our hands together to fight this war.
Other speakers educate participants on communicable diseases as well as sexual and gender violence.
Very importantly, we have to look at how do we prevent monkeypox. Number one, we said if you have close contact with person that have monkeypox, you are likely to develop it. So we should avoid close contact with that person. That is number one. Number two, also as health workers, we should use appropriate PPE when attending to this patient. We should avoid having contact even with the fluid coming out of the people that have monkeypox. And finally, very importantly, I know we have dislodged most of our hand-washing equipment all around when we knew that COVID-19 is coming down. But I want to say that with COVID-19, with monkeypox, with or without them, I think we should take it as a culture. Hand washing, very, very important. It prevents so many other diseases. Diarrhea diseases, cholera, we are all at risk of all these diseases, not only for monkeypox, not only for Lassa, not only for Ebola, not only for COVID-19. So hand washing, I think we should continue to do it.
The Deputy Governor's wife asked community leaders to work with government and bring an end to all forms of violence in the state.
Domestic sexual violence and drug abuse are societal menace, and that needs our collective synergy to stem the tide. Though a forum like this is needed to regularly update and discuss action that will help us stamp out the hills. The Office of the First Lady has also designed this forum to empower us by providing assistance where necessary. I enjoy all the beneficiaries to make good use of this support for our betterment and that of others. Additionally, at this forum today, we have been provided with some guidance that will accelerate and strengthen us to be more resourceful and responsible as youths, parents, and community leaders. Please, I employ us not to ignore all these guardians and counsels. Based on the significance of this seminar, I encourage you all to support and collaborate with these state governments through the Office of the First Lady in cascading all the messages received at this seminar to the people in our various communities.
An array of working tools such as tailoring machines, air dryers, grinding machines, popcorn equipment, gas cylinder, industrial cooking gas, among other equipment were distributed to individuals and community development associations.
Women should not be idle at home. Women should be supportive They should support their, their relatives, their children, and their husbands. As even if the woman is retired, that does not mean she should be sleeping at home.
Yes, from the public view, I would say it has exposed me to some information as they are taking action against male being raped to society. I just learned about the terminologies are quite different. Rape is for the women, and while we have sexual results for the male child. And I've been exposed to some information like the LASWACO, Lagos State Water Regulatory Commission, because I live in an area whereby you don't have water, you would have access to water for over 5 years, and you have just bowls upon bowls, and there are times the waters are smelly. So by the intervention of LASWACO, we can bring in policies to make sure that we have access to clean water in our community. And by extension also, we have the Lagos State Health Scheme, which we have applied for, because health is wealth. We can't keep just working, we have to consider our health also in having access to it.
The Lagos State government is again assuring the people of constantly empowering vulnerable groups to reduce the poverty rate in Lagos.
From empowerment to turning waste to wealth, the Lagos State government says it plans to move to zero waste in the next 10 years. But this was announced by the Managing Director of the Lagos State Waste Management Authority, Ibrahim Odumboni, at the inaugural ceremony of the Lagos Recyclers Association, LAGRA, at the Muzon Center in Lagos.
It's the first annual conference of the Lagos Recyclers Association. Members of the group converge on the Muzon Center, Onikon, Lagos.
Great Lagos recycling advocates.
The conference highlights plans towards achieving a circular economy for Lagos State. The president of Lagos Recyclers Association advocates the need for residents to adopt the habit of reducing, reusing, and recycling waste to boost the state's gross domestic product.
We have been committed to increasing recycling in Lagos to improve the social and economic health of our citizens, businesses, institutions, and future generations. Increased recycling supports sustainability, resource conservation, job creation, and a stronger economy in Lagos State. In recent years, globally, there has been a huge shift in attitudes towards waste and recycling, with new regulations and targets being set by policymakers and governments alike. At the heart of this discussion is the need to create a circular economy, one that ensures countries handle resources in a sustainable and effective way. This is particularly true of plastic, which, despite being the workhouse of the global economy, is often produced and disposed unsustainably. Progressive schemes should be set up to allow consumers, policymakers, brand owners to adopt the mindset that recyclables are not disposables, but valuable resources. Today, the battle against plastic waste is taking place on a global scale, with new regulations demanding that government and policymakers reassess their approach to handling refuse. By adopting a circular model, it will become possible for us to collect and recycle recyclable materials on a large scale and to a high standard.
The Managing Director of the State Waste Management Authority is also championing the 3 hours of waste management and wants the people to tap into the opportunities that abound in the sector.
We don't want anything that will upset the sector and turn us back to where we used to be before Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. So the governor has made his promises to us. And I can tell you that 2023, even in Loma budget, the reflection is a focus on recycling. The focus is no longer on collecting and just picking. We have been doing that since about Macaulay time. It's about how many can we take and reuse. We want our waste to disappear. We want to move to zero waste in the next 10 years. How do we get there? So we are going to invest as much in the recycling sector. And how are we going to do that? Empowerment of all the members of LAGRA. So together, we want support from FIBRA while the state is doing what we want to do. From all our partners like PoliceMart as well that promise to open 300 centers in the next 18 months. Our commitment is to ensure that everybody that is here or every business that is here at least get to manage one of those units.
Meanwhile, the Senior Special Assistant to Governor Sanwo-Olu on Sustainable Development Goals, Lekki Fatodu, reiterates that waste recycling would help beat plastic pollution in Lagos and elsewhere in the country.
And inclusive to everybody. We cannot overemphasize at this very moment the importance of resource management or responsible consumption and production. We are at a time where everybody knows some of the conversations around the challenges of food insecurity. We are also challenged about the fact that our nation, unfortunately, is still a consumption society rather than being a productive and a society that will enhance production. But like they say, Rome is not built in a day. I believe one of the efforts that is being taken by Lagos Recyclers Association will lead to some of the ways, even if not across Nigeria. Lagos State can serve as a pilot case for other states in Nigeria to copy. And we also need to look at some of the, if we don't come together to take a more decisive action on issue of waste management, resource preservation and management, we will actually be facing another danger that is probably going to be difficult for us to control.
Currently, Lagos has over 200 recycling companies and over 6,000 informal recyclers. The waste managers are calling on more players to come on board, see waste as a resource, and achieve a circular economy for Lagos State.
And now to road construction. The Lagos State government has reassured residents of the timely completion of the Lekki Expressway with an advice to motorists to obey traffic rules at the construction site to deliver the second phase of the Etiosa Lekki Expressway project. Special Advisor on Works and Infrastructure, Aramide Adeoye, made the appeal after inspecting the ongoing project from Lekki Junction to Abraham Adesoya.
December 2020, the Lagos State government flagged off the construction of the Lekki Expressway, kickstarting the first phase of the project from Ekpe to Lekki Junction, which is a distance of 18.75 kilometers. This has already reached completion. The phase 2 of the project is a 16-kilometer stretch from Lekki Junction to Abraham Adesoya. The Special Advisor on Works and Infrastructure, Aramide Adeoye, who oversees all road projects, briefs on the progress.
The phase 1 starting from Ekpe Junction to Lekki Junction, T Junction. That everybody will attest to the fact that that road is finished in rigid pavement and completed. The phase 2 is supposed to commence from Lekki Junction down to Abraham Adesoya, where the Fort Milan Bridge is taking off from. And so we are just finishing, we are practically completed with the phase 1. We are about commencing the phase 2. We started with preliminary designs as to what the phase 2 will look like. The profile needs to be changed. The outfall positions need to be recognized, because you will ask yourself, why did the first road done 40 years ago fail? It was because the road was done without major outfalls. It was just chutes, allowing water to just percolate. And I keep telling people, without a proper drainage system, you don't have a road. And so what you then have now is a well-reconstructed road in the phase 1 with provisions for main expressway lanes and dedicated lane for trucks in rigid pavement to take the anticipated volume of traffic that will come out from the Dangote refinery, the fertilizer company, and the Lekki deep sea ports. That we have done up to phase 1. Phase 2 is what we are currently about to embark upon. So the contractor has started preliminary works such as acquisition of the right of way, filling, you see them filling in sharp sand, trying to change the profile of the roadway, connecting to the outward positions where they are going to. And because it's in sand, It's normal in the rainy season when you put sand and it rains, you will see most of it washed away. It becomes difficult for traffic to navigate under that circumstance. So I'm only hoping that with the rain subsiding in the next 2 weeks, when you have the break, they can begin stabilization, because as they fill, they will stabilize and then begin to build the pavement, put the base course, the cross-truck base, and then put their reinforcement, and then begin to build proper concrete together with the drains. When you are having construction work going on, government feels the pain. It doesn't make sense for people to go waste man hours. We do, and that's why we're reconstructing the road. But there is no pain without gain. Road, it's a methodical job, because we've done the phase 1. We've done 18 kilometers, and we succeeded at it. The next 16 kilometers should not be a problem. When people decide to be lane disciplined, stay in lane, obey diversion signs, and allow the contractor to work. So it's not as if government does not need to be stampeded to know what they ought to do. We have already taken proactive steps.
She appeals to residents within the area to cooperate with the contractors and not drive against traffic. To make things faster, night shift work will be introduced to reduce the burden experienced by road users.
This is a very responsive and sensitive government. We feel the pain. The loss of man hours is regrettable. And we're trying to minimize that. Even school children, because it doesn't make sense for them to go spend hours in traffic before they get to school. It makes them very, very unproductive. Even by the time they get to school, the learning capabilities will dwindle. So we recognize that. And so for this operation in the next phase 2, because it's strategic, you have a lot of schools around that area, the contractor will see the work methodology that we will put in place to ensure that the contractor can possibly work, possibly in the night, ensure that the diversions are done in a way and manner that can actually minimize the pain and hardship that they're going through.
Away from the briefing, the Special Advisor on Works and Infrastructure, alongside other stakeholders, also visited the construction site along Awoyaya axis in response to the complaints about the construction work on the Lekki Expressway.
We decided that we would attack Awoyaya, which is one area, and then as soon as that is done, the contractor will work from 2 ends, Awoyaya as well as coming from Lekki Junction back this way. But in doing this one now, this old terrain is flat. It's flat, and if you need to move all of the runoff, you need to get it discharged, you will need to raise the profile of the road somewhere. If you recollect in the construction work that took place in phase 1, there was a lot of build-up. The pavement was built up, so gradient profiles were changed. And essentially, we also will do the same thing here. You have seen the contractor do some filling. So everything that you see here is towards acquisition of right-of-way, expansion. Expand the area, fill up in sharp sand, and then you see them putting geotextile material. They will then stabilize. The reason why motorists are having difficulty moving is because they have scarified loosely, they have done some filling, and then it's not yet compacted, so they find it difficult, and then it's been raining. They find it difficult to be able to traverse on that kind of terrain. Not everybody will be driving a four-wheel car, but the contractor has been told the work methodology we are reappraising. Starting off from that Awoyaya, you can see them already with the material, the geotextile material with the filling. They will do that now, raise up the profile, and then see the discharge points that will go. There are 7 that have been identified. In addition, we'll introduce 3-4 additional ones, so that in this stretch of 18 kilometers, we have sufficient discharge outfalls, so that this road can last longer.
Representatives of the Lekki Estate Residents Association assures the government of their support to ensure speedy completion of the project.
The state itself is a composition of all the estates, of all the communities. What we try to do, and we have done a lot of it, is to do regular sensitization. We tell our residents, we tell our stakeholders to calm down when they are on this construction stretch. Because if we all behave ourselves when we get to this area, the road project will go very easily and seamlessly. And we also have a responsibility to protect the people who are working for the contractor, because they are not working for the contractor ultimately, they are working for you and I, and LASG is aware that this work is for us and we must protect it.
We're going to work closely with the contractor. We're going to work closely with the Ministry of Works to ensure that whatever challenges that might, occur during the construction period, we are able to, to assist our people manage it during this period.
The contractor handling the project is also optimistic of delivering only the best.
Our milestone given to us for LEAP Phase 1 was achieved, and we delivered the project even before the end of the project. And we have high expectation to deliver that project even faster from the first phase. All what we request is the coordination and the cooperation from our communities, our people on site and our people on road to follow the traffic rules in order to be able to complete that project on time. That hold-up is not created by our construction site. We have to understand that point. The road, it has been the same always. The work that we are doing so far is an extension of what we have as original typical section.
When completed, the Lekki-Ekpe Expressway project would address the traffic situation within that axis and also serve as a link road to the 4th mainland bridge.
And this is where we call it today on this week's edition of the program Dateline Lagos. As always, thank you for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Until we come your way again next time, please stay safe. Bye-bye now.